What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's first exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Anthony.
And for this first exclusive segment, we've been doing it every week now. We are going to be doing our weekly waiver wire pickups. There's a couple guys this week. A couple other injuries happened to running backs. A couple injuries happened to receivers. A couple guys really stepped up over this last week, and you should be looking out for them. So we will be talking about them here.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new. Click the link in the description for today's podcast, where we did kind of something a little different. We kind of just sat and talked about some football games, talked about some basketball, some college football, just a little bit of everything, kind of like a weekly roundup type of deal. We're trying something new instead of this NFL weekly recap with college football getting in the midst of the season, basketball starting up. We're trying to be diverse. We even touched on some baseball. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Keep showing us love. Back with our waiver wire pickups. Our pick'em series, Ryan's up 12 games now. I lost 2 games with best bets. We are now currently, hold on, drum roll please. We're 32-15 on best bets so far. We are up major money now. We are going to be 33-15, but that's just depending on if the Saints cover the spread or not.
It's not looking good currently, but
no, they're playing right now as we record this. The score is currently 7-0 Seahawks with 5 minutes left in the first quarter. And with that being said, here's a word from our sponsor.
Be sure to check out our sponsor, Little Italy Pizzeria. They got the best cheesesteaks, the best pizza in all of Delaware. You guys can't see this, but there's a TV right there. There's a TV right there. There's a couple over there. Come in, watch some football games. It's a great family restaurant. Great people, great prices. 2 locations in Delaware. One's in Townsend, one's in Middletown. Come check it out. Let them know that the greatest podcast on turf sent you, and they will take care of you.
Absolutely. Link to their brand new website is in our description, and merch coming soon. We're finally getting in serious talks of merch. We think we have a distributor now. Now we just have to negotiate prices, so merch is coming soon. And with that being said, we got about 10 total names for the waiver wire. We're going to be talking about guys who you should use a waiver wire claim on, or guys who you should maybe wait till the next day till the waiver's clear to see if you can grab someone without using a waiver slot. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Kenyon Drake. I know, it's Kenyon Drake. Let's be real. This guy took Kenyon Drake in the second round of a fantasy draft last year, and look where that got him. Nowhere. But apparently Josh Jacobs got hurt again. It looks like he avoided a serious injury on his chest, they said. The Raiders do have a bye next week. So, I mean, this probably isn't a guy who you really should use a claim for unless you're just down bad at running back, or if you're looking ahead of the future, like me and Ryan were just talking about guys in a couple weeks, guys, injuries and stuff like that. So if you need someone to stash on your bench and you have a good waiver wire claim, Kenyon Drake, he's not a bad name to use at all. Oh, I got rejected for a trade offer.
Nice.
Well, sorry, I wasn't done.
Jumping to my first waiver wire. Are you not done?
Oh, no, I was going to go into numbers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, miscommunication, it happens. But yeah, Kenyon Drake, 70 yards rushing and a touchdown against the Eagles. Had 3 targets and 3 receptions in the passing game as well. Kenyon Drake's a solid, serviceable running back. I mean, these past few games, he's had 16 points, 21 points. He has another 11-point game down there somewhere. He's kind of inconsistent. It all depends on Josh Jacobs. If Josh Jacobs is healthy, it's probably not that safe to start. But if Josh Jacobs is out and continues to show up on the injury report and be limited in these games, as we've seen, Kenyon Drake becomes more and more reliable. So if you need someone to stash on your bench and have a top waiver claim, or you're down bad at running back coming up, go ahead and grab Kenyon Drake, because running backs are still a hot commodity because there's so many injuries that have happened. So Kenyon Drake.
Jumping to my first waiver wire pickup. This is probably the highest priority guy that I will mention. It is Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders got hurt. I'm not sure if he avoided an injury. Serious injury, but he was carted off the field, and it looks like he possibly could miss time. Kenneth Gainwell, he came in, he had a touchdown.
He's currently undergoing x-rays on his injured ankle. They don't believe he broke any bones, but they don't have a timeline for his return yet.
So Kenneth Gainwell is a guy who it looks like he's most likely going to start at least next week for the Eagles, and he's going up against a Lions team that isn't very good at anything. Like I said, he scored a touchdown against the Raiders when Miles Sanders got hurt. Kenneth Gainwell has arguably looked just as good, if not better, than Miles Sanders throughout this year, especially in PPR situations. He's a great pass catcher. That's what he really was in Memphis. That's what he was known for. And now he's going into an Eagles offense that isn't very good. So he is one of the better players on this offense. There is garbage time that is here, and it looks like he's going to be the main running back for this team because Boston Scott is not taking the majority of the touches. So yeah, Kenneth Gainwell is probably the guy that I'm prioritizing most picking up this week.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering why Miles Sanders was available in the Odessa League on the waivers because I put a claim in for him, but I didn't realize he got hurt.
That wasn't even. It was before the injury.
Oh, really?
He just did it. It was Sid. Shout out Sid.
Shout out to Sid. Our next guy we got. This is a guy who in theory, didn't have a great fantasy game. Well, he had a great fantasy game, but he didn't have a great football game. Devontae Freeman. He had 12 PPR points, 11 the week before. He only had 4 rushes for 14 yards, but he did have 3 receptions for about 30 yards, and he scored a rushing touchdown. Latavius Murray was out, but this one was kind of a fluke because Latavius Murray was out. All right, it's going to be a good day, but the Ravens got whacked. They only put up 17 points against the Bengals, surprisingly. But, I mean, Devontae Freeman, he's been consistent the past few weeks now that they kind of have the Ravens offense has gotten going, and they finally have a running back committee going with Latavius Murray and Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell. But I mean, if Devontae Freeman, like me, I lost Kareem Hunt, Saquon, and David Montgomery, so I had to pick up Devontae Freeman this week and start him. He got me 12 points, so it's not bad. So if you're down bad like me at running back and you need a serviceable start, Devontae Freeman, who's another guy who's going in the bye this week. Guess I should have looked at who's going in the bye week, but Devontae Freeman, if you're down bad and need a stash, Devontae Freeman, you can't go wrong. He's a running back 1B, 1A, probably 1B behind Latavius Murray in the offense. So after the bye week, grab him. If you have a space this week or you're just down bad and probably have to stash him on the bench like me, grab him.
Jumping to my next waiver wire pickup, this is a receiver who could have a really big night Thursday night, and that's not an Arizona Cardinal. It is Allen Lazard. He's coming off of 60 yards and a touchdown. The bigger news here is Devontae Adams just got put on the COVID list. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play for this game Thursday. It's kind of a toss-up.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. So Allen Lazard is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Green Bay Packers, the wide receiver 1 for Aaron Rodgers, in a game that is setting up to be a clash of the Titans, you could say. You got the 1-loss Packers with Aaron Rodgers coming in against the no-loss Cardinals, the future MVP against the former MVP. The stars are aligning, so essentially this game is setting up to be a good one. I don't see the Cardinals just blowing them out. I kind of see this game being a shootout with 2 very good quarterbacks, so Allen Lazard could benefit from that tremendously. The drawback is sometimes when a wide receiver 2 turns into a wide receiver 1, they get shut down because they're not that good. That is the argument against Allen Lazard.
We call that the Juju Smith-Schuster.
The volume should be there in theory just because he's the best guy available. Going up against a Cardinals defense that has shown to be good sometimes, last week they were good. They blew out the Titans. They're looking like a good team, but, bye weeks are here, and if you have Devontae Adams and you have nobody else, you could pick up Allen Lazard and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my next guy, we got a pass catcher here. He's only rostered in 19% of Yahoo leagues, and I know. But we always talk about tight ends being a hot commodity. We got CJ Uzomah, tight end of the Cincinnati Bengals. He absolutely popped off this week. 3 receptions, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's a day. He's going up against the Jets this week, who are the worst team against the tight end in football defense-wise. They just let Jonnu Smith against the Patriots have a huge game before he left the game. Hunter Henry had a big game as well. So like we always say, tight ends are a hot commodity. There's only a few good ones. You got CJ Uzomah this week playing against the Jets. He's a must-start tight end. We'll talk about him more on our Start-Em Sit-Em video on Thursday coming out. Be sure to be on the lookout for that. Subscribe, hit the post notification button so you get notified. But yeah, CJ Uzomah, he's not on bye this week, like a guys who I've said and a guy who I'm going to say next. But yeah, CJ Uzomah against the Jets, go ahead, pick him up and start him this week at tight end.
The next guy we'll be talking about, he hasn't done much this season, if anything at all. It is Michael Gallup. He is coming off of IR after this Cowboys bye week. It looks like he's going to be practicing this week, potentially playing his next game. He's 40% owned. Michael Gallup is a player who you're probably not going to plug in and start, but he is a stash type of player. He's a high upside player on a very good offense. His name is also getting thrown around in these trade rumors. If he manages to get traded and ends up in a decent location as the second receiver in Green Bay, or anywhere else with a good quarterback that needs weapons,
New England.
Michael Gallup could be a really good fantasy option. Like I said, this is a luxury stash type of player. If you need somebody like now, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're in the position where you can hope on upside and stash, take a look at Michael Gallup, who has had a 1,000-yard season before. So the talent's there.
This week we got a lot of ugly names, guys that you don't want to waste the waiver wire pickup on, you wouldn't think.
I think my team's a little bit better than yours in terms of waiver wire pickups, but
oh my god, I got stuck with Kenyon Drake. You only had Allen Lazard, so but I had Kenyon Drake, Devontae Freeman, and Brandon Bolden of the New England Patriots. He had 7 targets, 80 yards receiving and a touchdown. He also had -1 rushing yards, but he got involved in the passing game because last minute Ramondre Stevenson was a healthy scratch. For some reason, Ramondre's been a healthy stash about 2-3 times now this season, kind of out of nowhere. Ramondre had a great game against the Patriots, and he was a healthy scratch, and Brandon Bolden came in. Mac Jones targeted him heavy in the passing game, and he did his thing. 20 PPR fantasy points, that ain't bad, and they're going against a Chargers defense who's given up a lot of fantasy points to running backs, especially in the passing game. So, now this is all pending on Ramondre Stevenson. The games Ramondre has been a healthy scratch. The game after, he hasn't really done much. But if Ramondre Stevenson continues to be a healthy scratch, and you need someone to maybe pick up the day of a game or after the waiver wires because of an injury, Brandon Bolden is a pretty serviceable option. Like I said, in the games that he's played in, he's got 6 targets, 4 targets, 7 targets in these games that he's getting real minutes into. He's getting volume targets in the passing game. So if you are truly down bad, like a guy like me, where James Conner and Devontae Freeman are your starting running backs, you may be looking to inquire Brandon Bolden on, what would that be, Thursday morning or Wednesday morning after waivers process, just to stash him. He plays the Chargers this week, like I said, who are 6th against running backs. That's really not good. So, Brandon Bolden, if you're down truly horrible and you need to have Brandon Bolden, I'm sorry, but grab him. That's so bad. Jesus Christ.
Jumping into my next guys, they are going to be streamer guys that you probably want to look for the day after waivers. This one you could argue picking up on waivers, depending on how you feel. It is the Bengals defense going up against the Jets. The Bengals defense has great potential to be the best defense in football this week, playing against the New York Jets. I don't think they're going to roll out Joe Flacco after that trade, so it's looking like a Mike White situation probably, and the Bengals defense should do very good against Mike White, Corey Davis, and whoever else. The Jets defense sucked originally. Now they're even worse. So, like I said, if the Bengals defense is out there the day after waivers, 100,000% pick them up. If somebody picks them up on waivers, I wouldn't blame them because they have potentially week winning upside when your defense can give you 20 points. That's a pretty big advantage. I just lost to Tampa Bay, who scored 21. This is what happens. So, yeah, pick up the Bengals defense. They have week winning upside.
Yeah, and then here's a guy like Ryan talked about, Michael Gallup. This guy is a luxury stash. He is on bye, like a couple of the other guys I said. We got Rashad Bateman of the Ravens. He had 80 yards receiving, 6 targets. He's got 12 targets in 2 games that he's played. So, off rip, it looks like him and Lamar are trying to develop that relationship we saw in preseason. So, if you can afford to grab a guy like a Michael Gallup or Rashad Bateman and stash him on your bench for a week, maybe after the bye, or see what happens with Michael Gallup, go ahead and do it. Yeah, if you have, pretty much is what it comes down to. I don't want to ramble. If you have room to make a luxury stash like Bateman to pick him up, he's only rostered in 32% of leagues. Go ahead and grab him and stash him on the bench for a week.
I probably would go Bateman over Michael Gallup if you had the choice. But jumping into my next, it's the quarterback streamers. The first one is Kirk Cousins against Dallas. He is 69% owned, so most likely he is not out there. Most likely he is not out there, but if he is, take a look. The next guy is Daniel Jones against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are allowing the second highest points to fantasy quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, I know he doesn't have his receivers. If they come back, if Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, Saquon, and all of them guys come back, Daniel Jones could be a very, very good start. He's only 28% owned. This is the guy that's most likely going to be out there. And this is if you need a quarterback streamer. Don't pick him up and start him over a top 10 quarterback. But if you have Lamar Jackson who's on a bye this week and this is the best option, I would feel okay starting Daniel Jones. There's another possibility that the Chiefs are pissed off and they run through him. There is a chance.
Talking about it on the podcast link in the description.
Personally, I believe in the Chiefs still, and he doesn't. So he would pick out Daniel Jones. I don't know how I would feel, but yeah.
People need to put respect on Daniel Jones' name, all right? Daniel Jones looks like Tom Brady. He's making Dante Pettis look good. Tom Brady used to make guys like that look good. Put some respect on him.
He also
right?
played against the Panthers who blow.
Put some respect on Danny Dimes, all right?
Just say the waiver pickups.
All right, two guys just to watch out for. You may not want to use waiver wire pickups on these guys. These are just some names to watch out for. If you're truly down bad at tight end, Mo Alley Cox, he's very touchdown dependent, but he is 6'7", and Carson Wentz does target him in the red zone.
He is a worse version of C.J. Uzomah.
I think Mo Alley Cox has scored at least one touchdown in the past 3 or 4 games, so you got that upside going for him. The Colts are probably on bye this week.
No,
since
they're
I'm
not.
talking about him.
Nope, they're not. I don't know who they play, but they're not. I have Jonathan Taylor. I know he's not on the bye.
The Colts are going up against the Titans this week.
The Titans, who look very pissed off
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
But with that being said, if the Colts get into the red zone like they've been doing with Jonathan Taylor and Cam Punchin, if they get inside the 20, they're going to be targeting Mo Alley Cox. And another guy, a guy who we thought was going to have a breakout year at the beginning, but had his first good game, Russell Gage. Don't you dare use a waiver wire pickup on Russell Gage. Don't do it. If you're down bad at receiver and you need a pickup, go ahead and do it. I'd rather get Lazard over Russell Gage. Russell Gage plays the Panthers this week, who blow. It's a division matchup. It looks like after the bye, Matt Ryan's been spreading the ball around. Kyle Pitts had a good day. Russell Gage had a good day. Calvin Ridley also had a good day. It looks like they're spreading the ball around. The Panthers blow, apparently. So, I mean, if you need a receiver, maybe Russell Gage or Lazard or guys like that.
Yeah.
And is that it?
I think that is it.
And that's going to wrap up this week's Week 8 waiver wire pickups. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the podcast this week, weekly roundup, basketball, MLB, football, NCAA football. Talked about it all. Told some funny stories about this weekend. Check it out. Link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Check out our TikTok, and we'll see you next time.
See you.
Peace.